to make a Google form. This is the perfect way to survey people and collect all the responses in one place to make your life easier. It starts off quite easily in your Google Drive. Go to New, tap on it, down here to More, and just click on or tap on Google Forms. It opens up. We put in a title. This one will be Sample. If you like, you can put a little description down here. Now, up here it does nothing until I tap on it, and then it gives it exactly the same title that you've typed in down here. Now, get started. You already have a question here. Let's go through every single one of them. Short answer produces like this. This might be a good way to collect people's names. There's another way of collecting people's email, which we will look at later. Over here we have other options. You have plus to add another one. You can add a title and text description, an image, a YouTube video, or into sections. That's sort of high level. Let's get started here with the beginner level. Add another question. The next kind would be a paragraph, in case you're saying, please tell us your experience. Just as an example, anything where you want to have more than just a simple couple word answers. Now, you'll notice this down here says required. That means that this question in the form will have a red asterisk after it, and people will not be able to submit unless they have answered it. If it's not so important, you can click this and it's not required and they're allowed to skip it. Next example, hit the plus again, add a question. This time we're gonna go with multiple choice. In multiple choice, we can ask something like, which do you prefer? Now, in multiple choice, we can type in blue, hit enter to get another one, or say red. Now, people, when they're answering this, can only choose one of these as an answer. Whereas, if you go to next question, just type that again, which do you prefer? Down here, if you ask in checkboxes, you can add more options. Blue, red, purple. Now, people will be able to answer with more than one response. Add a question. This one here, what are we looking at next? Drop down. Drop down is actually just like multiple choice, except it presents differently. For example, we have blue, enter, red. When they look at it, it'll actually be just a question. They'll have to click on something. Let me just quickly show you here. Go to the eyeball at the top for a preview. If you go down here, you don't see all the answers. You have to click on this to choose one. You may only choose one. We are next on to add a question. The next one we can choose would be a linear scale. This is good for seeing how well something went. Do you feel you learned enough in yesterday's presentation to make positive changes in your life? Now, label 1 to 5. We can change this all the way from 1 to 5 to 1 to 10. I like to give it an even number, because that way if it's 1 to 5 and they do 3, it's not bad, but it's not good. If it's 6, 3 isn't quite half, 4 is over half. So it makes it easier to get the more true feeling out of people who are being overly kind. So number 1 would be not at all, enter, or let's go to number 6 would be absolutely. This really lets you know what people are thinking. Add a question. What does that leave us with here? Multiple choice grids and tick box grids. Multiple choice grid, which do you use most frequently? Row 1 might be Google Docs. Row 2 might be Gmail. Now for our columns, for answers, we can say never, we can say sometimes, enter every day. Now, let's take a look. Scroll to the top, let's take a look at it. Sample, as I said, this means required. So names are required. Tell us your experience is not required because we said it was not. Which you prefer? They can only choose one here, remember? which do you prefer with these? They can choose more than one. Oh, option 4 is there. I can delete that. That was an error. Which do you prefer? Drop down only allows you to choose one. These might be helpful instead of multiple choice if you've got a particularly long form. However, bear in mind, sometimes people filling in forms aren't that savvy. Do you feel you have learned enough in yesterday's presentation to make positive changes in your life? I kinda do. And which do I use most frequently? Google Docs and Gmail. Have to fix that one. The question requires one response per row. Boom, there it is, they're both done. Now if they click submit, they're gonna see this. Name. See, I didn't fill that in, so it's forcing me to do it. It's a required question. And one hugely important time-saving feature is, if you've settled on one, or you're gonna be using a lot of similar kinds, for example, multiple choice is the way I'm going, down here, I can just tap this and it duplicates it, so I don't have to keep making it over and over and over again. Now in this case, I don't need it, so I can just hit delete and it's gone. Other things to keep in mind, over here we have a cog. That always means more options. Click on this. You can collect email addresses, which mean people might need to sign in, which I find problematic. I would just use a short field that's required saying, please fill in your email here. I would also limit it to one response, but I would allow them to edit it afterwards. Do you want them to see what other people are thinking? That's up to you. Always click save or it hasn't been saved. Also, we can go to presentation. You can show progress bar or shuffle question order. I only would do the progress bar if it's very long. I would never shuffle the question order if it's not for a test. Now, confirmation message, this can be changed to whatever you want. Thank you so much. And always save it. Okay, what else? We can customize our theme. You are now an expert potentially in the basics of Google Forms. Congratulations.
The world is a
remix.
Sent to Secret Destroyer. The world is a